we're so we're basically talking about sustainability before you jumped on.
What? No backstory. He just joined the podcast. What the fuck you doing? Give a backstory.
I mean, he just joined the conversation. There's not supposed to be any introduction, man.
There's not supposed to be any backstory.
Where did your wrenches go, sir? So we were talking about the different gardening programs. I'm gonna continue to give backstory. I don't care.
You don't know how.
Mute your microphone and talk.
Can't imagine how relevant it is.
So let me just quick backstory, and then I really do want to hear what it is that you jumped on to tell us. But had a really good meeting this morning with some community members, neighbors, friends, civic leaders, just 2 other people, but they're all those things. You know what I mean? I've sent you pictures of the space where I volunteer at with my little goat friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So just talking about sustainability, helpful practices for communities, working on listening more to programming ideas coming from various communities.
Yeah.
And starting to just brainstorm different resources and stuff that may be available out there, like grants or other things, right? But productive. And so I was telling Kowalski about it, and it matches up with what it is that he's been working with over there in his hometown, but also specifically in Cleveland. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but some real good synergy going on, and hopefully we're able to facilitate some introductions soon so that the various people we're working with can start talking to each other, and we could be kind of like a fly on the wall. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we're at. So gardening, community engagement, sustainability stuff. How was your meeting? What'd you
do? Wow, I'm kind of overwhelmed from that. This is the pivot point that you wanted to start with today, because an hour ago I was trying to sit back and relax, and I'm getting an emergency call. Dude, I need your help. I need your help. We need to put some things to write for the Knesset for tomorrow about farms for rehabilitation of veterans with PTSD. And they asked me to rewrite new things I already wrote before. So I try to facilitate that, even though I'm out of energy mostly. And it's the same topic you're discussing. And so I sent them like few points, really rough draft, and I got eager, so I sent it to the VA already and invited them to come to the field to talk with us and see what we are talking about, and similar projects that trying to rise in the Israeli ecosystem. And I also referred them to the whole health program, the well-being program you have from your VA. Just mention that it's not the first time they're hearing about it. But as a framing to the conversation, that it's a whole approach. It have to be holistic and sustainable, and that they have to prefer projects that trying to be self-sustained, so they can help them come to life and they can be their own organization and project, and don't need to all the time look for funds. Like a business, like a community, like most of the gardens that you will treat right and tend with care probably will provide exactly what we're talking about. And it's also a way to bring social responsibility into the community as agency of the veterans to the community. And that's what we were discussing, and I hope maybe the three of us and maybe the little gang from Australia, if they want to join, and maybe my friend Rebecca, the veteran from Israel, we can sit and write, like, to take what you done with the program you already wrote for growing your own, whatever you decide to grow, the gardening program, and bring that and to bring some pieces together and to offer our communities and our VAs to work together, to learn from each other, to do something that allies do. Not only build the first, today they did a big ceremony in the US to bring Israel the first ship that can land soldiers for the Israeli Navy. You build it for us, so we can build our friendship not only on guns. That's what I say.
Here. Yeah.
And in the morning, I was in a meeting with the big corporate people, one of the big energy companies, to tell them about what we do in our project, and to ask them to support us for a few years to build it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's great that all of us had the same conversations, basically. Yeah.
Those pictures you sent us, is that the person you're with at the farm, is that Rebecca?
Yeah. And
Man.
one more thing I want to ask you, if you know, if you have it in the States, many veterans have legal issues with the VA or with other authorities. Do you have, like in universities or big legal firms, like a legal clinic for veterans?
Yeah. Here at the University of Arizona, we have specifically, it's called Vet Corps. And it was started by, well, a couple people. The one that I know, I remember their name, is Judge Pollard here at the University of Arizona Law School. And a former colleague of mine, Matt Randall, who was in law school at that time, worked with him and others, Abel Moreno, who I believe we had a conversation with, if you remember him. He worked with Matt and Judge Pollard and others to get that off the ground. And it's been running now for a number of years. They have other ones all across the country.
And who funds it?
Oh, so initially,
The Veterans Treatment Corps program is done by the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
I
Because
don't.
our university said if you'll bring enough money to pay someone to do it, we'll agree to do it.
So let me just kind of explain how the University of Arizona was working while I was over there, and I had buddies over there. This is now, I'm a gray beard, and I'm a long tooth.
I have white hairs here.
Yes, these things. So it's changed, no doubt. It has changed since I've been on campus. When I was there, we were able to initiate a lot of programming. The Vets Center at the University of Arizona, the Veterans Education and Transition Services Center, right, started off as SVA Club, SVA, Student Veterans of America. It's a national program where they're integrating veterans on campus at four-year institutions, community college levels, right? You got veterans and taking trade skill courses and stuff like that all over the place. Anyway, these centers, right, help integrate veterans from the military into academia, into the professional realm. Ideally, that's the trajectory. And while they're on campus, while they're doing what they're doing, the vet center was used as a hub to offer free printing, to offer like textbook exchanges, because those things are expensive. This one I just bought here, this dense textbook right here that weighs probably like a good 30 pounds, like 20, 25 pounds, something like that. 1,300 pages, over $200 for this book. Probably one of the most expensive books I've ever paid for, but it's worth it. Now, in order to avoid the cost like
the tight.
don't. I already marked it up. This is mine. You're not gonna touch it. I'm gonna know it if I see it. Like, you're not gonna walk away with my book. So we created, because they are so expensive, like a lending library, call it, at the vet center on campus, right? And that all come from just input from the veterans on campus who would come in, talk to us, because we would be posted up. We have what they call work studies, where you get paid federal minimum wage to be on hand, to answer the phones, to answer questions, to walk people to certain departments, to provide.
Be ready to assist.
Yeah, whenever, right? Clean up the office, help set up tailgates, and do community service events and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But all that to say is that it relied heavily on input from the students. And then the students would go to the administration and say, look, this is the feedback that we're getting with respect to the services and resources that are available or not. Here's some of the gaps that have been identified, right? Or that we see potentially developing. You know what I mean? Working with certain departments, friendlies on campus, who have a vested interest or who just care to get involved with the veterans issue and their transition on campus to offer their services, whatever they may be. One of those people was Judge Pollard. One of those departments was the law school. It's not really, it's a school. It's not a department, it's an actual school. The James E. Rogers College of Law here at the University of Arizona. So my former colleague, Matt Randall, who was a co-founder of this VETS program at the University of Arizona, along with Dan Standage and Amy Goodwin and Kim Schroyer and a lot of really awesome people, Natasha Crawford, just a lot of passionate people come together to start working towards providing the aforementioned services and resources and the gaps and shit. This thing that they did while my buddy was in law school, I'm not sure how they got funded, but the way we were able to establish the Vet Center at the University of Arizona is through an earmark that was proposed by a couple of our congressional representatives, Congressman Raul Grijalva and Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, Gabby Giffords. They secured us $25,000 for the Vets Center, right, which was able to like, get us going. And then after a while, right, we kept track of our numbers, who's coming, how many times a day are they coming, right, through a card swiper that we kept the data on a computer. So we could break it down time of day, time of year, right? What are the busy times when people are really coming in and using the services? Midterms, finals, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? We could break it down demographically, right? Just based off the information provided from the identification card, right? Which is basically names, you know. But it was fun, and so the vet court, from my understanding, right, was a furtherance of that initial spirit, a further development or investment into an existing program which has been recognized as a trendsetter, a national leader in various respects with regard to the assisting veterans, military personnel out of the military into that environment and then back into civil society. That's a long answer, I know, but I don't.
It's a great answer because you're going to make me tomorrow send another email to the VA discussing the legal clinic that they need to pay for starting it.
And there may be, so I'll do some research on my end too to fact check what I just told you to find out exactly how that funding source was acquired or identified, or is it still maintained? The drug treatment court, that's also a part of that, right? Veterans get into other shit outside of just getting into trouble with drugs, right? But the drug treatment program is a part of that, right? Where they work with former military personnel who have run afoul of the legal system concerning their use of certain substances, yeah. And rather than put these individuals right in the clink, directly into jail, right, they have been able to provide substance abuse treatment programs, counseling,
like a buffer,
peer mentorship, as like a kind of, hey, are you aware of where you're going? Which I personally feel should be a model that's expanded out. And drug treatment court is a thing. And for minor offenders, it does get used outside of just the veteran community. But personally, I don't think those type of programs are used often enough, right? Or the preventative care or attention isn't provided before that's even required, right? Not that it's never going to be required, but let's
hey, it's like trauma and PTSD. If you treat it on time, maybe it won't get chronic.
Call it for what it is. Start there. Not being afraid to call it for what it is in a safe environment where you can discuss it and break it down and start to come up with a game plan to work through it. Be put in touch with other people who have lived it, who have come out the other end, who can share their experience. Hope. I think that's really what we're talking. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I've been talking about, and I think that with that message, along with the sustainability component, the recidivism rates are bonkers. I don't know how they are in Israel. I don't know what your incarceration situation's like there. It's a mess because of your geographic location and the individuals who you're working with, right? But a bunch of other things over here, I think the United States still leads the world in how many people of our own citizens we lock up.
Yeah.
And then who get out and then quickly break the law again, going right back in.
But you do show signs of trying to act differently in a way. Like the mass correction about marijuana in a way.
That
It's-
mostly
it's-
comes from civil engagement, though. The very shit you're doing is the very shit that led us to that point, and it had to be very pinpointed too in how it did it. So all of these various things have transpired because individuals, one, got educated within the system or got educated out of the system, lived through it, figured out what was needed, created then a specific system for that one need, pushed it through, it got picked up, and then a new need come in.
That's true.
So it's just like everywhere else, in my opinion, on that front. I mean, it's not like they took the initiative to go, we're screwing up with our whole prison industrial complex and we need to fix it for retention purposes. It's more like other people were like, we're tired of you taking in all of our fucking people and we need to find a way to keep them out.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
It's both interests align. We cannot pay for this prison system. Okay, what we'll do? Okay. We'll treat people more humane. Okay.
That's real. That's real. Look at so there's the Nordic countries, the Scandinavian countries and stuff. There's some examples, real examples
Mhm.
of them treating people differently, recognizing, acknowledging that this is the institution, acknowledging that these people are there to be reprogrammed in a sense to go back into society, right? Not back into the Thunderdome,
Yeah.
which is how here in the United States we like to treat our prisoners. Like, no. This is the Thunderdome, right? Inside, outside. Once you get associated with it, yeah, welcome to the Thunderdome.
And it's labeling again. Just labeling. The
Wow.
person is not only an addict, it's not only injured, it's not only that or whatever.
Slavery, bro.
Yeah, it's throwing me to your little video clip with Unlabel Me.
Yeah, we got to reach back out to our friend with that project. Thanks, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great reminder, for real. I bet he's been up to some cool stuff. I'm gonna send him this recording. No, our prison here in the States, there's there was a project that was looking into how much money, how many profit margins have just exploded with the mass incarceration taking place, cheap labor, in other words, that they don't have to pay their employees health care. They're prisoners. That's the state's problem or the Fed's problem, right? They don't have to pay for their housing or worry about them complaining or whatever. No, you're obligated to go work in that situation. They don't have to worry about anything other than, did they make the widget? We require the widget so that we can then go over here. Like, we downsized and laid off the majority of our working personnel in civil society because of being able to pay for laborers penny on the dollar. But yet we're still pointed to sweatshops somewhere making Nikes. It's apparently the only company that can get called out, Tommy Hilfiger or somebody else, right? But meanwhile, like computer chip companies, there's all kinds of people now. If you look at the various companies that are operating within the prisons and using those prisoners' labor, that then when they get out, they can't use a good majority of that because of the label that you just mentioned, that scarlet letter, big
Even
fat.
though they are skilled workers.
Yeah, depending, like the felony is a big deal over here. In a lot of states, you can't vote, you can't own a firearm, you can't get certain jobs. Don't care what you did. Felony? Nah. Right? There's some programs up in northern Arizona. A friend of mine was able to initiate a program called Ban the Bots, where they got rid of that question on applications where you can't ask somebody if they're a felon. Right. Or something like that. I don't know. Like there's some
Some level of,
you can't just use that as an outright gotcha. Boom. Don't care how good your resume. Don't care how qualified you are. Care how much experience you have. Boom. You answered the magic question that gives us all the reason that we need to find somebody that we actually like.
or to step on you and lower your rights on the way.
Well, that brings up the whole component of like disability in and of itself, and how the disability complex is set up to not help you get out of it, or to sustain yourself past what's handed to you.
Yeah, it's a big issue. When you go for recognition from the VA, the Israeli or from the US, you're labeled. And you need to treat it for yourself. Here, the bureaucracy is so hard, and you can wait for months and months and sometimes years for simple answers about simple things. So people are working on being disabled instead of working on the rehabilitation program and being alive and being valuable. People are going into the, how can I say, it's a trajectory that instead of empowering them, the whole process is giving them another PTSD. So many people saying that the medical committees scar them at least the same or more than battle because of the institutional betrayal you'll experience by the same people that send you to battle, that trained you, that qualified you to recruit, to train, to carry weapon, to have secret intelligence under your in your head and under the responsibility of not sharing it with no one. Putting your friends and your mission life under your responsibility. But then when we need to be trusted about our experiences, no, it's worth shit. It's nothing. No, you're crazy. You're a dreamer. You're just trying to get money from the public system. You're a terrorist. You're an anarchist. All of that we heard. And this is why people take their life. This is why families break. This is why people are losing years and years of their lives just struggling this little issue, which is huge and is not that hard to engage by the system. Sorry, I started lecturing. It's a hot topic here in Israel.
Like,
We're not used to the numbers you're used to in the States. We had 2 people took their life day after day and everybody in shock. You have between 22 to 46 every day, according who's counting.
right? Or not counting.
Mhm.
I did, dude. You're not. See, I can't be in a room where somebody's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much." I'm like, challenge accepted. Continue, dude. Like I want to. It's important. I feel. I was shocked when we first started talking. I was shocked, really amazed at how similar the experience is with respect to reason, right, in your own situation, but the military experience, especially with the Aussies, because they went with us, and so particularly the transition into the medical field side of the house. I was really like sadly like, oh man, that sounds really bad, like our kind of bad. Our bad is their bad. Their bad is our bad. Is it all bad? It's like, fuck. Yeah.
Does all governments just throw the people protecting them into garbage when they finish to use them?
I
Sorry
think
for being so explicit.
Um, if movies tell us anything, then yes.
What do the Simpsons say? What are the Simpsons have been on? They've been hot. They're on fire. The Simpsons. We should go back and watch Simpsons episode.
But I mean, like even going back to watching a lot of like the medieval days and how they dealt with their soldiers. I mean, once you were no good to the system, you were no good to the system, period. Like there was no in between. It didn't matter what you did before, doesn't really fucking matter what you do after, as long as you stay out of the way.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's how it really was then, nothing, and knowing from our experiences now, I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
It does seem to be a theme. Universal.
Second, I need to step in to put some cable into the computer so we'll have power. Un momento. Keep talking.
Sí, sí.
Okay.
No, sí, sí, sí. Mic, check, 1, 2. I think it'd be cool.
No, that's a good point.
I think it'd be cool to get what point? We have a glitch in the system. I think it'd be cool to get David on.
Yeah.
Talk about what they're doing up there. Talk about how you guys met. Then, didn't you say he was in the service? Or is that wrong?
Yeah, David's a Marine
I thought she said
from
that.
Vietnam.
Man, we gotta talk to that dude. He was in Vietnam.
And his business partner was also in Vietnam. He was a tunnel
Oh shit!
hunter.
Oh no, that's
So someone that's connected to the dirt in a whole other way.
talk about a rough job, dude. Them tunnel rats.
Yeah.
Well, we have it now here.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't. No, thank you. That goes. Nah, man, I'm good. I'm too pudgy for that kind of shit. I'll get stuck. I don't want to go anyway. But I'll come up with some kind of excuse. You won't get me down there unless I'm getting like forced down into that motherfucker, and I know it opens up into something cavernous. Otherwise, like, no. You just got to kill me here.
Only if there's interest in fungi. You see, it's the only reason to go there.
Yep. No, it was cool hearing this guy's story. I'd like to get him on and share. kind of breaking that barrier between seeing the ground as your grave to seeing the ground as something that builds something and creates something and nurtures something. I mean, as a tunnel rat, I could only imagine what that man had to go through to make it that transition happen.
That's a talk I wanna be part of.
Yeah. See, you should do that.
Sign me.
Yeah, you have good radar for that stuff. For like good guest conversations. Guest speakers as
Yeah.
it were.
I'm supposed to be, I got an event up at the farm I'm going to in like 10 days. So I'll be headed up that way and hanging out with David and them. So maybe I'll go live while I'm up there and then see if I can pull David and Wallace aside. And we can have a conversation in the greenhouse that they built for veterans.
It might be a bit tricky. You might want to go over there and just talk to them first. It might be a bit tricky having 3 people or 2 people using one system to talk into. And so just
Right.
like there, let them know what's going on, get updated, right? Catch up, get up to speed, give them hugs, whatever, blah blah blah. Set up a date, and then I mean I'm open. If I'm not in class, I'm open.
I think our Tuesday meetings for the whole veteran community program are supposed to start kicking back up here soon too. So I'll be up there at least every Tuesday morning as long as I can.
And that's through his gardening program, the veteran every Tuesday to meet up.
So yeah,
Why
it
don't you
was
just,
through
like,
the
what is
gardening
it?
program.
What is his company's name?
So the company's name's Riddle Green Partnership, and their whole business program around it was community sustainability in a rough neighborhood, a neighborhood that's really been hit by the ghetto label. So he found him and his brother found property in the center of town near a park, near a community park that wasn't being used. And so they worked on building sustainability to it and bringing gardening to where they could provide fresh fruit and vegetables to the table within their town, local. And from there, it has just expanded and gotten bigger to they're now the main tree nursery for the entire city of Cleveland.
The entire city?
Yeah.
Oh, that escalated quickly.
They just picked up a huge grant on what they're working on building veteran housing.
Like tiny
up there.
Type thing?
Kind of along those lines, yeah. And then him being a veteran and one of his partners being a veteran themselves understood the need for their own little space, their own little get together. And it's one of the only greenhouses that's unlocked 24/7. And it's set up there to where you can put, if you're just having a rough time, a veteran can just go up there. Normally there's somebody up there and you can just go into this veteran greenhouse and just be around these plants. He's got pots and soil and everything around. Like if you felt the need to just your own plant, that's where you could go to do it. Like
talk more about that. Call him right now. Like, hey, Nahum, we'll catch up with you later. We're gonna.
Yeah. Hop on the car on your space.
Wow.
Yeah, so then from there, he got the community involved and tried to figure out what they could do better for the veteran community. And what they pinpointed was a one-stop shop for resources is what they are essentially trying to build. More specifically, this one-stop shop being city council. the governor's office. You call city council as a veteran. The idea is that you're going to get a list of resources and people to reach out to in real time from city council to what you need. That's the main goal, right? So what he was able to do, him and his team, was bring the community in together. And so he's got people that used to work at the VA. He's got the veteran community coordinator for the Cleveland Cavaliers, some commission members, and everybody show up to his meetings on Tuesday. And they talk about how best to do this. So they actually, last year, I believe, I don't want to mistalk, but I believe it was last year, they got the governor's office to okay a program to where they brought a veteran liaison into the program as a volunteer to see what this program would look like and run like within city council. And now they're looking at making it a permanent position. And then we're hoping to take that model. Well, I'm hoping to use the model that he's been able to create and then disseminate it from the north all the way down. So just an ultimate badass Uncle Snoop.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So many good things in one big bang. It was a nice barrage now. Trying to recover. But
there are people that are figuring it out.
Well, I mean,
it's really something to put our hopes and expectations to learn from and to thrive from, for our own journeys and for our own communities. And what you just shared with us, it was big.
That's what you're doing over there too.
It really is. I mean,
I don't think you can discount the work that you're doing, Nahum. You got, I mean, there's a lot of really positive, encouraging things that are happening. Take the time to look. It's like that whole stop to smell the flowers.
We need this outside look.
And I mean, that's one of the, for another gushy moment, right? That's one of the benefits that I've received from this group of friends and colleagues right now, right? For the last year and a half, is our ability to talk about what it is that we're doing, pick up similarities, but also learn. Like, how did you do that? Okay, what's the equivalent of that over here? All right. I'm tracking that. I think there's already stated policy on where these things should be taking place. Like Robert, when you were talking, I automatically started thinking about the whole health program again, the VA whole health program, and then basically making that, taking it from the VA grounds, we call them campuses over here, and putting it into the community, right? And it's not that these are veteran-centric organizations. It's just that it happens to be a lot of vets around. Yeah. And they want to do stuff too. And they come with some benefits, man. Like we're a full force multiplier if you use us right.
And I have to say, from what I explored about the All Health program, most of it, if not all of it, is really cool for everybody, not just for the vets. So yes, put it out there.
We're a microcosm of our society. They send us into the military. We come back into their communities. if we can we? I want to come back. I want to come back home and like fully integrate and do gardening with my neighbors and talk about butterflies and hummingbirds and all kinds of cool like things, man. Like learn how to be. I like to learn how to take care of myself. Right? If I have a certain piece of property, I want to learn how to work with it correctly. For instance, like my car, right? Or as like a homeowner, right? How do I maintain and upkeep my home properly? Right? Well, there's some education that's required, some learning, patience. Some things you just got to learn by, oh man, that just happened. Pop quiz. But by and large, man, I'm just looking forward to a pleasant conversation in a safe environment where the expectations are shared and they revolve around taking care of farm animals or the garden chickens or whatever, helping clean up the space that's community space, help sharing information that's useful. Right? So we have in our communities, we got a bunch of people like we have plumbers, we have electricians, we have lawyers, we have teachers, we have biologists, we have botanists. You know, we have all kinds of people in our neighborhoods. If there's a center within our neighborhoods for people to start sharing what it is that they know, there should be no need for like if somebody in the neighborhood has a problem, like you just said, Robert, like I know where to go. All right. Preventative shit, I don't have to go to the cops first. I don't have to call the fire department right away. I don't have to go right to the lawyer or the city council. I'm gonna go to my neighborhood garden, see if anybody's dealt with the type of situation that I'm facing right now.
What you're just describing is some way really similar to a kibbutz. Sharing the resources, taking not more than you actually need, and give as much as you can, according to your skills, abilities, and the responsibility of the community is to try and provide the safest, healthiest, thrivablest environment for you and the rest.
How do you pick a kibbutz to live in, or how do you get accepted into a kibbutz?
Build one in the US.
Nah.
Well,
That's my
outside of that, like your personal
they do it
experience,
in Japan.
Are you like born
and
into your kibbutz? In other words,
What?
are you like born into your kibbutz there in Israel, or are you
Okay.
like adopted into one?
Me personally, I joined the kibbutz when I was around 12. I moved to the kibbutz with my mom, my sisters, and we started to live in with her husband. And I earned another father. And so, but even the people that born in the kibbutz, like born and raised, pure-blooded, not weirdos like me, and so they also need to be, there's like all the members of the kibbutz vote, like in a council, like in Greek times. So they need to approve the new members of the community, because it's have also lots of rights, but also lots of responsibility to be a member in the community. You can vote, you can change the rules, you can be part of the systems that operate the the little civil society of the community, the businesses. And so it's really different, because some kibbutzes have had it automatically in the past. And in our community now it's changed, because it used to be almost automatically, like they voted, but they always voted yes. And in the last few years, it's changed. Some people didn't get approved to be members in the kibbutz, and it's only made more bumps and obstacles into our society, and we have big forces that trying to really change and break the idea of kibbutz, which is, in my opinion, really smart thing to have, a community that share resources and celebrate the diversity, like a rainforest, for example. That's a nice kibbutz. Doesn't mean everyone are friends, but there is some coexistence, and it's the most diverse place.
It's got to start with respect, man.
Yeah,
It's got to start with respect. I think having like a neighborhood council, which essentially is what the group that I volunteer with is. I mean, it's registered as a nonprofit, but it's essentially a neighborhood council, right? Um, but they provide for anybody in the neighborhood who needs it, right? So if you need some fresh produce, like you don't have to be going and whatever. You could just be in need and show up, right? Right. You're a neighbor, you see that they're having a class, like you can just show up, sit down at the picnic table, introduce yourself, right? And then you're just there with everybody else. And that really is, it's that simple. And I mean, the more you show up, the more people get to recognize you and whatever, the more you just start volunteering, trying to help. Then it's like, okay, right? It takes it up to a different level of your involvement. And then along with that come with certain expectations and whatever. But I think as long as those expectations are put forward and maintained throughout the relationship, it really does fall back on the order of things and a diplomatic search for some type of solution or remedy or way forward, right? Out of any hiccups that arise. So you're dealing with people. Not every, like you said, not everybody's going to be friends, and they shouldn't have to be. But if they need help, they should get that help without having to explain their personal issues with whatever.
or beg for it.
Right, which is horrible. To make some like no.
Yeah. Humans are shapeshifters, and we keep forgetting that we like throwing
Motherfucker, that's a fucking
universal.
sticker. That's a sticker. Humans are shapeshifters.
Yep, and we like throwing universal labels out. One size fits all mentality. And I think if we held on to more of the shape shifting mentality, we would realize and recognize that at any given moment, I could show up to a theater and all of a sudden I'm an actor. Or I could show up to a library and all of a sudden I'm a reader. And it's those things that tie people together. I mean, even in our relationships, look at how we build relationships. We choose relationships based on how we share experiences with one another. It has absolutely nothing to do with how different we are from one another or the differences in the way we grew up with one another. Most of the time, you're out doing something you enjoy to do. You find somebody that you are attracted to there, enjoying doing what you enjoy doing also, and you build a connection with that individual. And so that's when the one size fits all happens. But outside of that, us as human beings, we are shapeshifters. And the sooner we can recognize that shape shifting mentality, I mean, community building is going to get so much better, much better.
Yeah, it's as you describe it, when you go into a library or a reader, it's a matter of functionality. And it's something that if I go back to our military experience, got into our bones and blood and to our DNA to be a sharp tool, to be aware, to be ready, to have certain instincts or ways of thinking or reacting. And to unload it from the system, that's a journey.
And
And
that unloading, man, it's not happening. It's just getting recycled. Painful experience after painful experience after painful experience, and it just keeps building upon itself with respect to the like how gnarly it's getting for people to just day by day get up, get out, do their thing, go back home, right? And you see it, and I think going back to that microcosm of our community, we know it as veterans, we've seen it, and first responders and other people who have experience. Like, what did Bob Marley say? He who feels it knows it, or who feels it knows it. So it's just being able to empathize, I feel like, and share space, to hold space, to allow somebody to get that shit off their chest. And then be encouraged and welcome back into a productive activity, gardening or maintaining the landscaping around whatever, or what, something, man, art,
without hiding the story.
writing it down and sharing it with others, making poetry out of it.
Because the story matters. It's thrown me back
Reality.
to, it's a science fiction book, Ender's Game. You heard about it?
No.
Yeah.
They tried to make a movie out of it not long ago. Ender's Game. It's a whole series of books, but the main theme, the books and the philosophy behind it, in my perspective, is that life matters and every story counts. The small one, the big one, all the stories matters. So this is why it's thrown me back to it. It's a really good one. I recommend. Arsen Scott Gard, I think, is the author.
You got to send me a link.
Yep.
I'll put it in the comment section of the video on YouTube.
I got it for you. I found it.
Oh yeah. So you need some rest, yeah?
Yeah, I'm wasted.
Yeah, dude, you get some sleep, man. When are you able to sleep in tomorrow? I know your dad, so that's like no anyway, like an automatic response.
No, I can't sleep late tomorrow, but won't be able to fall asleep in the, I think, upcoming 30 minutes. So I'm here if you're not too tired.
I'm good. Robert's great. Robert's the only one that's had a nap recently. I miss my I'm
Yeah, I'm feeling nice and relaxed. Can't you guys tell? I mean, the brain's functioning right today. I mean, got me communicating instead of sitting here looking like an idiot, all quiet and shit with my orange walls.
Those are great walls. Don't you disrespect your
I
walls.
love the orange walls. I love my orange walls.
Those
Don't
are
get me wrong. I
great at
love.
Halloween. We're gonna decorate
Good,
the
it's warm.
walls. This is gonna be great. I can already picture all kinds of like hocus pocus stuff going on over there.
Oh, straight up. I mean, especially since like Halloween's my wife's favorite holiday. So like as soon as everything else wants to come down, she's ready to start decorating. And so I'm getting really good at learning this whole decorating thing. And eventually it's going to be like, I'm going to pull the old school way to where my house is going to end up becoming some haunted house shit. And you're going to walk from the front door through the back door on Halloween to get your candy.
Yeah. I really appreciate the drop in temperature in fall. That's when for me, my attitude, I think, it noticeably shifts when the furnace gets shut off and cool air is let in. It's like, oh shit. Woo! Yeah, that was a long one. All right. But and then in wintertime, that's my jam. I love the wintertime. Love it. I love it. Let it be cold. Let it get cold.
The problem is it gets too cold here sometimes, and then my body hates me for liking the winter time.
Right. I need to clarify. Tucson cold. Tucson cold. Let it get Tucson. Let it get Tucson cold. Any more like
I'm already there.
You give me snow maybe once, twice a decade. Any more than that, I'm like, yo, what's really going on though? Are we okay? Up on the mountains, it snows. Like Mount Lemon, it snows up there. But in the city, if it snows more than twice or three times in a decade, it's been, yo, hey, I don't know. There's something we need to check something here. It's broke. Something's broke.
Oh, see. And that's
Yeah,
just because you've never experienced the joy of what we call snow days.
Whatever, dude. I did my basic training, OSUT, one station unit training at Fort Leonard Wood. I did PT test in blizzard conditions. I did. We were ducking and dodging and diving tornadoes in the barracks, right? And then I got to Germany, right, southern Germany, and was right back to doing like fucking PT tests and examinations in like weird conditions that I wasn't used to, being a desert rat, but apparently is normal. So like I'm with everybody else, like just trekking along. We're running in snow. Right? I literally had to run around the formation while my platoon in the snow through the mountains of Germany. While my platoon sergeant, because I had the nerve, the audacity to say this is bullshit. As we were running through the mountains of Germany in the winter, right before deployment, after we had spent so much time training and whatever, I just kept thinking mechanical injury. Somebody's going to break their ankle. It's going to be me. And then I just blurted out, "This is bullshit." And my fucking platoon sergeant heard me, of course, eagle ear, and called me out immediately. And then I think extended the run on my behalf. As I just every time I pass him, still bullshit. Well, all right. Around the entire platoon. Still bullshit, Parade. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we even ran splits after that, I think. Once we got back to the company. That meant the rest of the platoon they really liked me. They were happy. They were happy I had spoke up. They were happy that I said something on their behalf. And it was worth it. Said nobody in the platoon, but I thought it was, in my head that I was on the record for something important like that.
If
At
you want a
least you
funny
gave the
story,
guy something to laugh at while you were running that extra couple miles. So.
I know I was laughing. Nobody else was laughing. Certainly, this is what I came for. Is I came to talk shit and run. And run around in the snow is what I came to Germany for. I want to know whom you said you had a funny.
Yeah, funny story about a sergeant. He really molested us, like physically, not touched us sexually, but really, he was murdering us on training. Really, he was so creative. He was so strict. We loved him. He was great. But then they made like an inspection of HR personnel like from the army, and questioned a few of us. So some of us just said what he told us to do and what he put us through. So the next day he was in jail. So all of us just wrote a letter to our to the main commander of the paratroopers brigade and asked him to release our great commander from prison to bring him back to train us. So they did.
Wow, that went somewhere that I was not expecting.
But the inspection came in such a day that he put us to stand for so fucking many hours with the guns, like in a parade, just standing still because we missed 1 second in the timing that he wanted. And it was okay to do it for 5 minutes, maybe 10, to give the message. But for about, I don't know, 5-7 hours, no food, no water, people like crashed. So that's the day of the inspection. He was really lucky.
That's like a day's worth of training.
I got an inspection story for you.
Yeah.
So I was in tech school, and my suite mates, when they were cleaning for inspection or whatnot, found a life-size cutout of John Wayne under one of the mattresses in their suite. And so instead of disposing of it or getting rid of it, they thought it was going to be cool to put John Wayne. So John Wayne ended up taking part in our the John Wayne cutout ended up taking part in our inspection, because they set him up in such a way that as soon as you walked into the room, you saw John Wayne sitting there, and he attached the sign that said, "Well, howdy, partner," to it. And they went in, and all of a sudden you see everything get thrown out of that room. and then next thing you know, I couldn't tell you how long we PT'd for, because time wasn't of the essence at that point no more. It was just it was, yeah, but it was worth it. It was
Absolutely. Fuck yeah. Absolutely. You gotta do that shit. I would like, at least it wasn't something like only after each of the, or only after each my shit. What is that? Is that you, John Wayne? That would have been better. Is that you, John Wayne? Just in the little fucking comment blurb on his shit. That would have gotten you. That would have gotten you extra. Yeah. I got another good one. We had just come back from fucking Baghdad, Iraq, and like February, March, something like that, 2004 or not 2005. There was a lot of drinking going on from the moment we got back until basically I transferred out of there in July. So like a couple of months of like hard drinking. And on one of those nights, I ended up down in the little village Bobligan, which is just down the street from the concern that I was at, Panzer. And somehow on my way home, I ended up with like a full-on menu. Like one of the like a menu, like a metal menu that they place outside of like a bar or something. I had it set up in my house or in my room.
That's built-in suspension.
And so, how do you like suspend? How about that? But I have this fucking thing in my room, and my gunner and I at the time we shared quarters. So you walk in, there's a kitchen section, shared kitchen section, got my room, bathroom, my gunner's room. And so they go to my gunner's room, I hear them like shit. I forgot we had an inspection, fucking get up. And it wasn't even, it was just like a, hey, what are you guys doing? Right? It wasn't like a white glove, this and that. So it was just basically like, hey, gonna check on you guys type deal. And he walks into my room and it's the first thing he sees is the fucking menu. And he looked at me, he looked back at the menu. This is the same platoon sergeant that had me run around the formation. And he was like, really? He just fucking shook his head, did one of these things, and as he was walking out of the room, he's like, just fucking get rid of it. I was kind of dejected though. I was like, I was happy that it was like I didn't get in trouble, right? Just a good ass chewing kind of. But then it was like, man, that would make a really cool drawing board. So like begrudgingly, I threw it out, right? And they're the dumpsters or whatever. But before I did, I took like the main part of it. So there was like the metal piece that attaches, and then it goes like that, and there's another piece like that, right? And then they have the board down here that you write on, the menu for the day. And this was what was on top.
That's the header.
And so whenever he come back, then he didn't notice it because it was just looked like a piece of art on my wall. But I got rid of the main piece. It's a fucking trophy. This is my Germany drinking trophy, man. There many like it, but this one's mine.
It's German art.
Yeah. Good times.
That's great.
You still talk to your peeps? Any of your friends from your units? Either Nahum
Me?
or Robert? Either of you guys.
Yeah, we're talking, especially with the team I was in. We're trying to meet a few times a year. Some years we succeed more. Yeah, we have our WhatsApp group discussing, sending pictures. Not long ago, a few days ago, 2 days ago, I think, one of us had a baby for the first time. They had their first baby child, baby girl. And most of us, we have big ratio for girls in the team. We almost don't have boys that born. So we always.
Who else? You have your baby boy, and then who is there anybody else with a boy from your crew?
About, I think we have 3 girls for a boy ratio in our team. And yeah, pretty much. And We always joke that it's because of the mission in Sudan that fucked up. So
Oh no. Oh
yeah,
no. And
yeah. But we never been in Sudan, so it's okay.
I know I've never been there. No. Yeah. So, and neither of you.
Just a joke.
So it's,
You
yeah.
know, pilots have more girls than boys. Combat pilots.
Is that because of the air compression on the testes?
No, they have all of the electromagnetic shit under their balls,
Is that a
so
fact?
they get irradiated.
Is that another? I'm too gullible for this shit. Is that real?
Yeah, it's real. It's a real issue with
People
combat
still fucking
pilots.
fly, and people still fly. They still fly.
Yeah, they have lots of girls. Why not? They have lots of girls.
Well, that's not the part that concerns me. It's the part that there's this thing that's going on that's having this issue on your body, and that nobody
Anyone that operates a radar.
really.
Yeah, you know how many bad stuff we've been exposed to and we don't know even?
Nah, I don't
They
think.
will never tell us.
Yeah, that's why like people trip out on. Did you get the vaccine or not? I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh my god, aren't you worried? I'm like, maybe, I don't know, but I was in the military. Like by the time I got out of that line, that first line in basic training, and then they hit me with the peanut butter shot right in my ass. God, I don't know what the fuck I just got hit with. So like they're telling me I need this shit. It's an inconvenience for me not to have it. I'm gonna get it,
You're
man.
military property.
I was at least, you know what I mean? So I'm used to that. It's like whatever, dude. There's certain things you can get out of and navigate. There's some things that are just like worth the headache, depending on your perspective. Other things that aren't. Um, just based off of my past experience with that particular vaccine, COVID or whatever the fuck, and whatever. I was like, man, whatever, dude. Just hit me with it, right? I'm not the only one that's taking it. If I'm fucked up, there's a lot of other motherfuckers that are fucked up, right? Hate to break it to you, boss. They already told me back in 2004, blah, blah. But I mean, again, like you said, there's the burn pits, Kowalski, near like all around, right? In Iraq. The military equipment, military exhaust. Speaking of pilots, again, going back to the fire retardants that are used, the gas. I mean, in Hawaii, there was a big thing not long ago where Representative Schatz had to go after the military, the Navy specifically, because of gasoline leaking into an aquifer in Camp Lejeune, with the toxic water that poisoned however many military families, Marine Corps families, contractors, and other government workers that were stationed there before they even acknowledged there was a problem with the water. So I was just like, whatever, dude, hit me with the fucking shot and get out of my way. Like, if I have that, you're not going to fuck with me anymore? Yeah, you're going to get out of my hair? Okay, thank you. Bye. Go away.
Let me live.
Yeah. If it gets real weird, then it's none of your business. But I mean, like story time, I think again, the jokes, the serious shit, being able to relay things and then laugh about them, or just laugh about certain, like, hey, what are you gonna do? Maintaining your funny bone, I think, is a critical skill.
Yeah. Even when
As a personal, go ahead.
No, even when all hell breaks loose, to be able to laugh.
Especially
When you have to take a big turn again with the trucks or whatever.
so you mentioned the other day that you had family members and stuff who survived the Holocaust. And so I started reading again. This is a book from one of my classes back at the U of A. It's by Primo Levi,
Yeah.
Surviving Auschwitz. Man, there's a line in here. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it right now, like on the spot. But basically, it's like take care that you don't turn your home into what it is that you experienced out there. I am probably like not doing that quote justice, but it's something like that. And it was like, wow, okay. And just basically like just take care that you find whatever you can find to bring that peace or that centeredness, that balance, that ability to maintain, right? Um, the funny bone, the ability to create, the ability to express yourself, the ability to empathize with others, regardless of what it is that you've experienced personally, hardships and heartache and tragedies and trauma, etc. Just, and it's really
Be
important.
present.
Yeah, man, I think it's really important that we listen to our elders and what it is that they had to say about really, really like unimaginable things. That was my fault. Nice.
He's learning good communication.
Yeah, that's a lot better than some of the kids on just like Call of Duty. Like, yo, like I don't. Some of those kids curse better than I do as a grown man. Teaching me new words. Like, wait, hey, say it again. Say that. Like, okay, all right, fuck off, go do about your shit. Yeah.
I think that the younger generations are much more well equipped for open communication, honest communication that express them into society. Something maybe social media helped evolve, but they are much more able to share even the feelings, not only the experiences. Like
Good
I
answer.
felt angry, I was upset, I was sad, I was happy, I was emotional, I was they use it. It's a good sign, I think.
I could agree with that to an extent. I think, I mean, being a parent, I think that was a product of the absentee parent. And so when you don't have someone there over your shoulder all the time, I mean, for most of us, I'm sure majority of us probably grew up with one parent at home all the time, or majority of the time while we were there. And when you have that, then you have that helicopter parent, right? That's always there, almost controlling everything. Whereas if you had a working parents or only one parent that was always working that had to survive, then you were kind of forced to figure it out yourself, dig into the innate learning habit that you have as a human being to figure out how to survive. And then through that survival, that absent parent mentality, then came the ability to express needs, wants, and emotions. And then through that, then it's just developed into what you just explained.
Think of all the information, especially now you throw AI into the mix. Just think about what the average, as soon as there's some toddlers out there like 4 years old, 5 years old, that are scary good with phones and iPads and other things. Like it's so natural for them. Right? To the point where they end up teaching their parents a lot of things about those So before we had AI, where it's like, how does it know that? We had the little kids experimenting on these devices, outperforming the adults. Like, how do they know that? What the fuck though? And so now that they have AI to communicate with, oh well, who knows how that's gonna go or where it's gonna. There's certainly positive things that could be used for, no doubt. But there, I could think of quite a few nefarious purposes.
Well, shit, go before AI, right? We had virtual reality. Look at what virtual reality could do and all the great it could do, turning everything from 2D to 3D, or in some cases almost 4D, right? And then so, but what did that then create, and what type of nefarious came from that, as far as the creation of it, to now tie in AI and virtual reality? I mean, now you're making Einsteins at the age of 5, because you have like the whole entire atom code right there at your fingertips to play around and manipulate in a 3D world to figure out what's doing what.
Well, I mean, kids are just drunk little people. Like they walk around like drunk adults, but they're little. They're little. You know, they're innocent. So it's like they do it honestly, and you're like, again, like, but how did it? And then, so that might be like a perfect combination.
I
Like,
need to. I need
yeah,
to slip into bed soon.
half like now, bro. Like, what are you doing? If I could have hit you with a trank dart from here, I would have done it. I don't know how you're still awake, man. As we just talk now about like pothead type shit,
No, we just discussed
like
for 5
genius,
minutes.
babies that are gonna go visit Mars. Yeah. Go to bed, dude. Go to bed. Go to bed. Big hug. Get some rest, man.
Talk later.
Good night.
Later.
Good night.
Wow. Man, dude, it's fun.
Yep.
Some fun stuff. Some fun stuff on the horizon. I'm looking forward to that conversation. I really am, with David and his counterpart there. I want to learn more about that hoop house. That 24-hour hoop house sounds really cool, and something that I could use. Like, even like that just sounds like a good idea. Like, why aren't we doing that kind of idea everywhere?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 24 hours. I mean, again, I don't want to misspeak.
Oh man, I think that's something to misspeak on. If it's not, it should be. We should have volunteers. We got night owls in our community. We got night owls, and then I don't know about all these places, but I'm just gonna assume that when you're leaving things, even if they're locked up, secured, in other words, you'll have people that either don't know about what you're trying to do, don't care about what you're trying to do, or are actively attempting to sabotage what it is that you're trying to do for whatever reason. Yeah. And then you have people that are just fucking around, vandalizing shit, right? But things come up missing, things come up broke that you have to replace. And if you had, let's say, a veteran who was willing to take a midnight shift and post up at the hoop house in the middle of the night, just in case somebody in the community needed help or needed somebody to talk to or wanted to have coffee with somebody and talk about plants, because that's just their time of day. Maybe they work in that. And man, I didn't realize that you guys had something over here until I saw a light on. right? And I figured I'd come and see what was up. I figured if it was just a light left on, I might as well try to turn it off or whatever. You never know, dude. Graveyard shifts are a thing.
Yep. No, there's a lot of pluses, but with everything, there also comes negatives to it too. And with that, then you have to be real careful because
Insurance, man.
I mean, yeah, situations, especially for community members that really need help. It doesn't matter whether you're a veteran or not. Community members that really need help find themselves in some very fucked off situations.
Yeah. Absolutely. So again, like, to be clear, I'm talking about the generic, hey man, I was just at home. I ended up out on a walk around the neighborhood just to kind of get some fresh air and whatever. Noticed this was here. What are you doing? Right? Maybe you get a midnight club, a midnight gardeners club. And then all of a sudden, like, when nobody was expecting anybody to be there, now you have people organizing tool sheds. Now you have people sweeping up. And then that way, the people who come in the mornings are like, oh, wow, hey, check this out. Like, things are set up for us to like start working right away. Isn't that cool?
Right. Coffee or tea's always on. Something where you just have it available.
It makes reporting, like if you're having a issue with a particular row of plants, or if something happened with like an irrigation line that the morning shift needs to be aware of so that they can get on it or address, right?
Mhm.
Maybe there's some shit that they need to stop from spreading in the crop. So that then has to take precedent over what it is that they thought they were going to do on the farm that day.
Right.
That happens all the time. Semper Gumby, yeah.
Yep.
But I like it. I'm excited. There's days like this, I think, for me, just like in my human experience, but also like as like an advocate, a community advocate, where it's like, oh wow, that was an entire day of things that just went cool. Oh, cool. Really good, productive. Okay, all right. Fuck yeah. I'm digging the momentum. You know what I mean? And it's just like, all right, it's like, I guess the equivalent of hitting a hole in one in golf. Whereas in some days, it's like, why do I even play this fucking sport?
Right.
For me, you know what I mean? But then again, I'm all over the place anyway.
Yep.
1 minute I'm laughing, the next minute I'm crying. Being bipolar is a motherfucker, man.
You're a shapeshifter.
Whoa. Hey, now. Fuck, that's a song, isn't it? First time was. All right, hey, stop recording now, please. This should fucking be done.